My name is Brad Dicken. I am the editorial page editor here at the Chronicle Telegram. I'm joined today by Mayor of Elyria-elect Frank Whitfield and Laney Yost, our Elyria reporter. We're here today to talk about his 100-day plan for the first portion of his new administration, which will begin on January 1st. Frank, could you give us a quick overview of what you got going on in this plan? And
where
we're going?
Yeah, we'll definitely, hopefully everyone has had a chance to look at the plan. Thanks for this opportunity to come chat with you all, and coming into a new element, and thank you to everyone who's streaming and watching live. And I'll try to make sure we're projecting our voice so you can hear well, but this plan here is a reflection of what we talked about during the campaign, you know, the commitments we made around the economy, around neighborhoods, around the culture, and then also gives a glimpse into just how I plan to approach the transition. You know, so I'm excited to go through these elements with you and answer any questions you may have or that you've heard, and yeah, I'm excited though.
All right. Well, let's kind of take a look at, you have a lot of, as you call them, councils here. Economic Development and Business Services Council, and the Youth Council, Elders Council, various councils like that. But one of the kind of questions I guess I had is, do you know how many folks are going to be serving on each of these councils? Are they going to be open meetings, stuff like that?
For sure. So to take a step back, I want to talk about why and council is the term we're using, but why I believe in getting work done this way. So, you know, a part of our campaign, we called it We Elyria, this whole idea of we collectively. And when I said we, I believe in a we that's beyond just City Hall. City Hall is limited in their capacity. You know, I technically can only hire like 4 or 5 people. You know, that's it. So the work that we get done has to get done through partners outside of City Council. And I'll talk about that a little later on, but that's why we looked at forming these councils or work groups, or collaboratives is another word that I like as well, where we're getting a group of people together, community partners, residents, and working on issues. And some of them will be time specific, like projects, like there's this need and desire we heard around a community center, like a lot of folks when we were out there were saying. So that is very time sensitive. It's not like this group will live on forever. It's really time sensitive. But when we look at this economic council, we hope that this has longevity, that this becomes a way that we do business here in the city, where our corporate community's voice is being heard in City Hall, where they're helping to give us guidance on our processes. And they're saying, hey, you know, when I was talking to a business yesterday, they were saying, hey, when we went to expand our business, here's all the hoops and loops we had to go through. Here's what we had to wait on. This is what made it challenging here to do business. So to have their voice being heard to our department heads, so that we can sit down and kind of think through how can we streamline processes. So yeah, it's the collective. It's what we can do together, and whether you call it council, collaborative, task force, these aren't paid positions. These are folks who want to be at the table. There's no set number of how many folks. It's really about who wants to help get the work done, and them having a seat at the table.
Particularly focusing on your economic council, or ETAPs as I like to call it. Who will it consist of? I mean, what type of people do you want on the council?
Yeah, so we initially want to start with companies that have been in the city for, you know, I'm looking at least a decade, you know. So companies that have been around for a while, have seen, you know, different administrations, they've been here, they've had that experience, to bring those folks around the table and just talk, hey, what's your experience been like? Like yesterday, this company's been in business in Elyria for 30 plus years, you know, so it'll consist of those sort of businesses initially. Then we eventually want to bring in some of those newer businesses as well, because their voice is important as well. But we definitely want to make sure those legacy companies, those big industries that are still in our city, you know, even companies like Bendix, we want them to be at the table as well as a part of this conversation, because, you know, we think if companies are at the table early on, we won't get surprised. You know, there won't be these surprises of, hey, I'm not satisfied, I'm out. You know, we would already be proactive in saying, we keep hearing this issue, let's address it as a city.
Well, you mentioned Bendix, and in your plan here, you talked about how Finance Director Ted Pileski is kind of warned that this is going to feel like a 2008 recession when Bendix does finally depart in 2021.
If they depart.
If they depart. So you're not done with that.
I'm not done with Bendix, no.
Okay. All right. do you have a plan what you might do, or just?
I was thinking like lay down in the driveway and like and just say, hey, you know, if you guys want to leave, you gotta, you know. But no, on a serious note, I really want to have a conversation with them about what their true needs are. Have a conversation with them about corporate responsibility and how disruptive this could be to our city. And I don't think they want to disrupt a city like this that's helped them grow to where they are. And their needs that they have, from what I've heard, I think we can meet them in the city. Maybe not at the current location they're at, but I've been in conversation with, you know, some developers about we might have a better place for them that fits their needs.
Okay, you know, the current mayor has tried to, and various other city officials kind of tried to come up with a plan like that that might keep them here. They offered them quite a bit.
Yeah, but they didn't lay down in the driveway.
They did not lay down in the driveway, though. That is very true. Do you think that is? I mean, do you have, I guess, an option you think is going to make them, because they've invested the money in Avon. They bought the land.
They bought the land. Haven't broke ground on the land. The land is there. They could probably sell it and make their money back, and be fine. And I think we really have, and this was a newer development, this is a newer opportunity, you know, so I don't know if this was on the table back when we had those conversations, I believe in 2015. But now we have a new opportunity in front of us.
Have you reached out to Bentix yet?
Yes. So they're working with their team on schedules now, and that's the challenge, you know, I'm working before I've started the job, you know, so everybody's kind of like, well, should we wait until Jan 1 when you start, or should we meet now? And I'm just like, hey, let's start now, you know. So like yesterday, I was out shadowing departments and meeting with folks, and yeah, I'm not waiting until Jan 1. I'm not getting paid till Jan 1, but I'm not waiting until then to start working.
Well, you did the sanitation department yesterday.
Yeah. So those gentlemen and the ladies there as well, Kim, Leanna, the whole crew, they work so hard. I mean. And they have all the dynamics. You know, when I was out there on the campaign trail, so many people were saying they had moved from other towns to live, and they'd be like, oh, I cannot believe you have such a good sanitation department. I can leave this out, I can get this, they pick up this is how frequent. In other cities, we have to pay for this and that. So they really value that service. Councilman Baird calls it a Cadillac service we have for sanitation. And so I wanted to check it out firsthand. Got a chance to shadow yesterday, ride on the truck. And those are some very hard-working folks, and they have some really good ideas that I think we could take into the city. But some of the things that stood out to me was, one, their value for resident services. Like, you know, if there's a senior citizen who has problems bringing their cans to the curb, they'll bring them. The fact that they value technology, so in the forestry department, they were showing me how they actually track the trees that they trim, and technology is able to project out when that tree will need to get trimmed again, so the uses of technology. And, you know, those are things that I'm hoping that we do in every department, that we have high-quality resident services, and that we also are utilizing technology to do a smarter job and a better job, and just the hard work that they have.
But sanitation is an issue that will probably come up at city council as they talk about the services and the sustainability of having their own sanitation department.
Yep.
So what do you envision your role in that? Do you have any type of voice into, you know, what you want to see happen there?
Yeah, I know, council, you know, I'm looking forward to working with city council. I've shared with some of them, how I feel about the sanitation department. Again, I'm more interested in seeing how we can in-source things into sanitation than anything else. So, you know, we'll see when I get in there. But I definitely have a lot of value for what they do in the sanitation department.
Okay. Well, sanitation is one of the things that sounds like it's going to be an issue that's going to be dealt with fairly quickly in the city.
Around rates. No, that conversation
Rates,
around
things
rates.
like that, right. Do you see any other issues? I mean, obviously we've talked about economic development, but any other issues that the first 100 days you think you're going to have to tackle or want to tackle?
Yeah, for sure. I think that one of the things that the trap that I'm looking to avoid is being reactionary to every fire that comes up. And so my goal is, and the reason why we wanted to make sure we cast this vision and make sure it's out there, is this is what I want to focus 80% of my energy on. I don't want to focus on putting out fires within the city, because then we're not growing. You know, you mentioned how if a company leaves our city, how it will feel like the recession. And so that should be our North Star. That's what we should be focused on as a city. How do we keep them in the city? How do we build more jobs? How do we retain the jobs that are here? That's only a job that I can do, you know. And there's certain things within the city. If we hire a really good safety service director, they can handle those that's their job, to handle that internal day-to-day operational stuff, so that I'm not pulled into it and I can stay focused on the higher level work.
Well, in your plan here, you talked about taking applications for a safety service director, the plan to appoint
Yes.
an interim safety service director.
Yeah.
Do you know who that is going to be, or do you have any idea?
Yeah.
Any other positions you've talked about, mayor's liaison, chief of staff? Have you
Yeah,
been able to
yeah.
fill those, or?
Yeah, so in terms of the safety service director position, if anyone in the city, if you know someone who's interested in a position, they can email me at fxw124@case.edu. I think this is on our website too, frankwhitfield.com. But we definitely want to get high quality candidates for this position. And then your other question was just about, do I have thoughts about who's going to fill it now? I'm not in a position right now to be able to say legally that I'm hiring X, Y, Z because I haven't started the job. So I would be putting the cart before the horse. Have I had conversation with folks? Yes. Are there folks that we're exploring that with? Yes, but I'm not able to, share names, and that's why in the conversation we had about the current administration, it was we're in an exploratory phase, because until Jan 1, I can't make any decision.
Okay. All right. Well, one of the you mentioned keeping. You kind of mentioned talked about maybe potential of keeping Holly Brenda on temporarily, as at least through the beginning parts of the transition. What issues do you see that kind of need to make that transitional leap?
The leap? What do you mean?
Well, from Brenda's leaving to your taking over,
Yeah.
you talked about possibly keeping her on to kind of finish out some projects.
Yeah,
What
yeah.
kind of projects are we talking about there?
Yeah, so for instance, we're in the middle of, I actually have some of those projects that we're working on. So some of them are downtown, so the library is a good example. So we're in the middle of this construction project with the library. We don't need to start all over and say, all right, new administration, scrap all your drawings, scrap everything. That board has to rethink everything. So there's just projects in the pipeline that it could be disruptive and harmful to the city. And my thought is, how can I do what's best for Elyria? And if any economic development project is underway, if any community project is underway, how do we make sure there's a smooth transition where it's not just, hey, here's the folder, good luck, or here I am, all y'all get out. You know what I mean? Both of those, I think, it's not healthy for the city. We need that continuity. So that's my goal, is to make sure we're doing what's best for the city.
Okay.
Heading back into some of your councils, I had an interesting question over the youth council and the elders council. Is what type of role would they play in the city? Do they give reports to city council?
Yes,
Do they give
yes.
reports to you? How would that
Yes.
work?
So the youth council in particular is going to accomplish a couple of things. One, I'm hoping that it elevates a new generation of leaders. If you look at our politics nationally and locally, it's historically been based on which household you were born into, and that's kind of been how you get on a track to public service. And so those are the young people to get the opportunities to engage with civic leaders, etc. So we want to disrupt that. We want to make sure any young person out there who wants to learn about how a city runs, that's interested in public service, is able to have a seat at the table. So we want to have this council not only just on the leadership development side, but then also using their voice. They may say, hey, in our city, we have this issue of violence that we want to address, and here's ideas that we have. And have them present that to city council and say, here's what we want. And for city council and myself to react to what the youth are saying their needs are. So yeah, it's really about elevating their voice, empowering them with a voice, but then also developing that next generation of leaders.
Okay. We're going to take a quick break, and we will be right back. Hi, we're back with Mayor of Elyria-elect Frank Whitfield, and we're going to get talking here about some of the economic development stuff that he's going to have in his first 100 days.
Perfect. So as I shared during the campaign, this strategy of us getting together in our bag, so B being building a city for entrepreneurs. So one of the things that we're working on right now is with the community college. We've met with some of the regional economic development players to create this center. And we haven't come up with a name for the center, but the center is going to be a place for innovation, for people to develop their ideas, for businesses to come who have issues to say, hey, here's an issue we're having with the city, here's what we need, to really have this it's not just an incubator, because that's limited in its thinking, but it's broader to be this business services center. So we're working on that now, hoping to get some support from the state on that, some dollars from their capital budget on that. So working on that. The A is around attraction. So the Illyria's had this Illyria Works Now initiative that, when I was president of Urban League, we managed the program. We want to revamp that with a real focus on upskilling and educating our workforce so that people are walking away with an actual credential, whether that's welding, whether that's medical coding, something that's an in-demand job that people are walking away from that training with. So we're going to partner with Ohio Means Jobs, who has money to help pay for that training, partner again with the community college, hopefully JVS as well. And then the last piece around that, the G of that is the growing our current businesses, which we're hoping by forming these councils that businesses will be able to tell us, hey, if I'd love to expand, if the city could help me with this, and then we can be able to provide that incentive or that support to help them grow their business. So again, the economy, it has to be our focus right now in terms of developing this city. So we're hoping to execute on what we said we would.
On the Center for Innovation, do you have a
Center for
particular-
Innovation? All right, you got a name for it.
Do you have a particular kind of area of the city in mind of where you would put that? Would that be right downtown?
Yeah,
right
looking
around
at
the Midway?
downtown. Yeah, we're looking at downtown right now, and I'm hoping we can pull it together.
I know one of the areas that you had talked a lot about, because like you said, your mom worked there, was Midway Mall.
Yeah.
Do you have any sense as to where you might, if that's going to be something you're going to focus on in the first 100 days? Do you have a plan for that?
Yeah, so we've reached out to the developer, and that's again these warm handoffs. This is why it's important to work with the current administration on things. So I could say, all right, she say they leave. I call, hey, we were already in the middle on the 50-yard line. Now they have to stop, go all the way back to get back up there, as opposed to when I've talked with the folks in the current administration, like, all right, when's the next meeting? I'll be there. So that we're there, where the business doesn't feel our transition. They feel, hey, there's synchrony here, we can keep moving, we don't need to slow down, let's keep any progress and any ideas we have going. So that's gonna be our approach, is, sitting down, getting the update on where we are. In terms of the mall, again, there's a lot of blocking and tackling we have to do with the group that purchased it on the online auction. Because we got to get them to either get out the way or give it up, so that we can do something with it. But the partners from ICP, I don't know, they were in a magazine recently, and Chris is always getting interviewed, but he sees the vision for what that space could be. And so it's like, all right, how can we get that in their hands so that we can, actualize this vision? So that's part of what I definitely hope to be addressing in the first 100.
Okay.
During your campaign, kind of transitioning into another issue, I know that's something that came up a lot, and I remember this particularly during the debate, were police and community relations. And you have now kind of proposed in your 100-day plan to do, kind of another council or a board of sorts to focus in on that. So can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah.
How would the community be involved with that? How would the police be involved with that?
Yeah. So in terms of the police and community board, a couple things. One is, this is something that should have happened 20 years ago. In other communities, they have these. When I worked in the city of Lorraine, when I was president of Urban League, we constantly were meeting with the chief of air. And that's why I think so many people are celebrating him right now, is because he built so many bridges that there was a direct line of communication between the community and the police. If any small issue came up, I got Chief's number right now. I can text him and say, hey, Chief, a resident just said this to me. What's the thought? He'll say, hey, I'm gonna have such and such call, y'all get a call, and I can have an answer for that person there. So when that relationship is there, you're able to be proactive around issues and not reactive. And I think we've been in a very reactive place, that when something happened, all of a sudden we feel like we need to build community relations with the police. That's got to be a part of the priority from day one. So this council will help to bridge that gap. And so I'm hoping to have on there, everyday Illyrians on there, leaders of community organizations, faith leaders on that, maybe even some youth on that, so the youth can share their perspective as well. I'm trying to think, is there any other group?
The police union, is that with the police
Oh
union?
yeah, I mean, so the police, I want them to be fully represented. So sergeants, captain, police union, president, or just a representative. Yeah, we want to make sure the whole department, so that, because they want it as well. I believe, I went to the Coffee with a Cop recently, and they want to engage with folks. So we, I'm hoping I can be that leader to bridge that gap.
All right. Are you basing it on any other city, particular communities, similar organization, or is this kind of going to be?
No, yeah, these are all over the
Yeah.
country. Yeah, so we are not pioneers in this work. This is something that other cities have done. Like I said, in Lorraine, we met with the chief once a month. Like I said, I was a community organization leader. So yeah, we're not reinventing any wheels on this one. This one's kind of simple. It's just the hard work is just building trust. That's the hard work. But getting people at the table, I don't think that would be difficult.
Okay. One of the things that people have kind of seemed pretty excited about is the possibility of building a pool, community center that you kind of mentioned in here.
Yep.
What's kind of the plan for that? How are you going to pay for it? Things like that.
Yeah, for sure. So let's start on the why. So currently, we have no indoor swimming facility in the city of Elyria. Our swim team goes out of town to practice. Back in the day, we had the YMCA, but we don't have that today. And so when you look at amenities for a city, you look at Oberlin. They have Splash Zone, which is a partnership with the metro parks in the city, where residents have the opportunity to exercise. You got recreation for the youth, etc. You look at Avon. They have UH and the Y. And so they have this facility where community can come, exercise, fitness, recreation. You look at Amherst, they have the Mercy and Metro Parks, where again you go indoors, exercise. There's a therapy upstairs. This is a part of having a vibrant city, is having this option. So the same way those cities paid for it, we'll look at it. There's public-private partnerships. So all those examples I mentioned, other than the one in Oberlin, that's a true public between the city and the metro parks. But when you look at what happened in Avon, that's a public-private, if you consider the hospital private. And when you look at the one in Amherst, it's a public-private. So it doesn't have to be all on us as a city. There's a business model out there that works from a private sector standpoint. It should be a revenue. I've looked even in the city's master plan that they did with the metro. What they did with Parks and Rec, it talks about it being a revenue generating operation. Like it should be self-sustaining and some. So it shouldn't be a burden on paid people, like a loss leader should be.
Okay. And do you anticipate possibly having to go to voters for a levy or a bond issue or anything like that on it?
I don't know. We have to look at what type of partnerships we can form. We have to get buy-in from city council. But yeah, I don't know until we get there. And that's why I want to form this council, this group, to really look at it. And this is where the elder council, where I mentioned that there was a desire for this senior center. And so you heard the simultaneous, our seniors feel isolated, like there's no place to go and socialize, and also for fitness. And then you got this community need. So my thought was, why have two separate? Let's have one conversation around that. And out of that we can. And then we have property in the city that could be reused. So it's not like this has to be a rebuild. So we can also look at, does it make sense to build new, or does it make more sense to renovate an existing structure? Because we have a lot of vacant structures and more coming that could potentially be repurposed.
Curious, throughout this entire plan, what do you really see that your role is in all of these, little facets of it?
Yeah.
What is the mayor in this?
Yeah, so I'm hoping I am initially the lead convener, that people are willing to come to the table, invite people to the table to get the work begun, to get things started. But then I'm hoping folks on my team can then begin to start to pick up the ball and continue to carry the work forward. So yeah, I'm hoping, and then also communicating out. I think part of my role is then the report outs to make sure people are updated on what's going on. Doing things like this where we're keeping folks updated. And then going and find the resources. So again, if the folks come up and say, hey, we got a plan, it's solid, this is what we need, it's my job to go out there and then try to get the resources to make it happen.
Do you anticipate that the Elders Council, the Youth Council, and some of these other groups are going to ever kind of come together to like a larger like a community summit? You
I
mentioned
thought
something
about
like
that. I
in
thought
there,
about
too.
that from the genesis to have a larger community summit. But there were certain issues I felt like people were most passionate about initially, that I wanted to not ignore early, you know. But I definitely, and then if folks have already built trust and built community, then it would be easier to bring. But these folks have never even been in the same room together. Our seniors haven't been in the space convened by the city. Our businesses haven't been in the space convened by the city. So they have separate conversations they need to have about their specific needs before we bring them all together. Because then it's just going to be people competing for the attention of the room. So I thought we'd give everybody their initial focus, and then I'm hoping that we have a broader community visioning where we start. I think we need to start thinking about where does Elyria want to be 10 years from now? What do we want to see this city become, and then what are we willing to do to make it happen? So I'm definitely hoping that we can have that culmination.
Okay. All right. I think that is about what we have time for today, and so we're going to be getting out of here. We do want to thank you, Frank, for coming in and taking the time to talk to us about your first 100 days.
Yeah, for sure. And if people want to stay updated, they can go on our Facebook page, facebook.com/WeLyria. That's Elyria with the letter W before it. And follow it, and that's how you can sign up for the councils. That's how you can sign up for the newsletters. We'll be constantly updating through that. And thank you all for the opportunity. Again, I'm hoping that we do this on a regular basis, and that we're giving the people, a key value of mine is going to be, things that are transparent, that things are inclusive, so if someone can't make it to a city council meeting, can't make it to it, they're able to, from their phone, on their break, be able to engage, that things are fair. I think it's important to note we have a unique moment in history. Because I was elected as an independent candidate, I literally owe no one but the people. I don't owe a party to say, oh, now I got to hire this person because they fed the party for years. We got to hire. No, we can literally hire and make decisions based on what's best for Elyria. And so I'm hoping the residents see that opportunity and they push for it, and appreciate the process that we're going to go through, and not just doing favors, but actually doing what's right. I hope that they appreciate that. And I hope they support me when, if there's ever pushback on not just appointing friends, and the fact that I'm being more open about this process.
Okay. Well, we're going to be covering it in the Chronicle Telegram and on our website at chroniclet.com. Thank you all for watching, and have a good day.